I remember the exact moment the world cracked open beneath my feet. She didn't scream. She didn't yell. She just looked at me from across our living room, calm, almost clinical, and said, "I think our marriage is terminal." The words landed like a punch I didn't see coming. My coffee sloshed over the edge of the mug, burning the tip of my finger. "What were you talking about?" I stammered, my voice thick, heavy with disbelief. She didn't flinch. "I've tried." "Really? But it's over." "We're over." I laughed, but it was hollow, brittle. "Over? You mean like for real? Not just temporary?" Her eyes were steady, sharp, unyielding. "No, permanent. And I've thought about it for months." The next days were a blur of calls. 200 of them, if my phone bill was to be believed. I tried to reason with her, begged her to tell me what had gone wrong, where I had failed. Every time I thought we were making progress, she would slip further away, her tone polite, measured, distant. It was like trying to hold smoke in my hands. I began noticing the little things first. Her phone buzzing late at night, a hidden text, a laugh that seemed not meant for me. At first, I chalked it up to imagination. Maybe I was being paranoid. After all, we had been married nearly 10 years. 10 years of laughter, arguments, compromises, love. How could it vanish so quietly, so completely, without warning? Then came the subtle shifts in her behavior. The soft sighs before she answered. The way she avoided eye contact when I asked a simple question about her day. She spoke in half-truths and fragments, as though rehearsing lines for someone else. I tried to confront her gently at first. "Is there someone else?" I asked one evening, voice low, careful not to sound accusatory. She laughed, a delicate, almost rehearsed laugh. "You're imagining things. Why would you even say that?" But my gut tightened, a cold knot of suspicion and dread. It wasn't her words. It was the space behind them, the gap where honesty should have lived. Weeks passed. I started noticing patterns, details I had once overlooked. Her new fragrance, different from her usual. That shadow in her eyes when she thought I wasn't looking. A colleague mentioned seeing her at a cafe during lunch, but she claimed she was at a bookstore. Small eyes, tiny cracks. But cracks widened when ignored. One night, unable to sleep, I followed her, just for a little while, to quell my growing unease. She met a man, someone I had never seen before, and they disappeared into a dimly lit restaurant. I stood there, heart hammering, disbelief twisting in my stomach. My mind raced, denial, anger, heartbreak all at once. I wanted to scream, to run away, to beg her to come back. But all I could do was watch as everything I believed about us unraveled. I confronted her the next morning, trembling, voice breaking. "Who is he? How long has this been going on?" Her eyes didn't widen, didn't flicker with guilt. She sighed. "It doesn't matter anymore. It's done." The casual cruelty of her words cut deeper than any scream or accusation ever could. I felt my chest collapse, like the air had been sucked out of the room. She had weaponized indifference. I wanted to scream, to hit something, anything, but my body refused. Instead, I listened as she explained herself, her loneliness, her need for excitement, her dissatisfaction with a life that now seemed ordinary. I wanted to argue, to convince her to see what we had, but every word felt hollow, falling into a chasm between us that could never be bridged. Days turned into nights where I lay awake, replaying our conversations, trying to dissect where I had failed. Was I too busy with work? Too predictable? Or was it simply that she had changed, and I hadn't noticed? The questions ate at me, gnawing at the edges of my sanity. Then came the moment of reckoning. A friend, trying to be discreet, handed me a photo. It was her, smiling, in a way I hadn't seen in years, holding hands with him. My heart stuttered. I looked at the image over and over, each glance twisting the knife of betrayal deeper. I confronted her one last time, my voice barely above a whisper. "Why?" Her answer was quiet, almost gentle, as if trying to cushion the blow. "Because I can't be with you anymore, and I wanted to be honest before it got worse." I wanted to hate her. I tried. I screamed inside, cursed her in the privacy of my thoughts, and yet The years of love, the shared memories, the quiet mornings and whispered goodnights, all of it lingered. I realized that heartbreak isn't about anger. It's about the absence of what you thought was unbreakable. I left that night, not with rage, not with screams, but with quiet, heavy sorrow. I needed space to breathe, to think, to process the enormity of what had been taken from me. Weeks later, I discovered the full extent, not just the affair, but the depth of her deception, the lies spun so intricately that it had become almost impossible to untangle reality from performance. Every shared moment now seemed suspect. Every word she had said to me, every gesture, haunted me. I was grieving someone who had never truly existed, a wife who had quietly exited our marriage long before the confession. And yet, life continued. Slowly, painfully, I rebuilt myself. I learned that love, trust, and heartbreak coexist in strange, contradictory ways. I learned to forgive myself for not seeing the signs, to accept that people change in ways beyond your control, and that even the deepest love cannot always survive deceit. One evening, months later, I saw her across the street, laughing with someone else. My chest tightened, but the suffocating weight was gone. I realized I no longer needed answers, no longer craved reconciliation. The person I loved was gone. But in that absence, I discovered strength I hadn't known I possessed. She had flatlined our marriage, yes, but I was still breathing. And somehow, in that painful truth, I found the first fragile glimmer of freedom.